Yes, it's a step sequencer, but it's a step sequencer with a difference. This is Songmaker, part of the Google Chrome Music Experiments. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can use a beat sequencer right here in your Google Chrome browser. Let's go. Hi, my name is Pete and this is Studio Live today, where I help you create, record and release your best music. And something a little bit fun here today. I stumbled upon this recently as part of the Google Music Lab, their Chrome experiments, where there's a bunch of different little music apps, mostly educational apps that you can use right in your browser. I came across Songmaker and I had to have a play with it and give you a demo here, and then you can go away and have some fun with it yourself. So it is a step sequencer in its more traditional sense here. There are some options and some things we can change, which is what we're going to dive into now. So whilst I'm here on my iPhone in Google Chrome, you can use this in pretty much any browser on pretty much any device. And you can see here as part of the Chrome Music Lab, there's a bunch of different cool apps here that you can play around with. And they're great for kids, but they're also great for adults who like to act like kids like me, to have a bit of a play with. So let's tap here in the top left and go back into Songmaker. You can see it'll load up there, and you can use it in landscape or portrait mode. And you can tap here to create some sound. You can also use your mouse if you're using a PC or a Mac or a Linux or whatever type of computer that you want to use. So let's jump into the interface and show you how this works. So you can see the layout here. We've got one bar at the moment and we've got 2 beats per bar. So what we can actually put in here is, as we saw before, I can put in a kick drum. So a 4 on the floor sort of kick drum beat. And then if we hit the play button, it's going to play along with that. And then on the off beat, we can throw in a snare like that. And then we've got just a simple beat. Of course, you could just change it up here if you just wanted the kick snare, more of a traditional kick snare pattern like this. You could go like that, and then we can actually add in some notes. Now, I'll show you the settings in a moment, but it defaults to C, and you have a C scale here, so it's... And if you did it in order, it would actually be the whole note of the whole scale of C, from C up to C, that you can actually put in here. So what you can do is just put any sort of pattern that we like here and create a bit of a sound. So let's hit play. And of course you can add gaps in here. You can even use polyphonics here. So we can actually have 2 notes in each section. So if we wanted to make some little chords here, we could try this out. So it's very cool to play around with, and if you're familiar with a step sequencer, you'll have some fun. If you're not, well, then you're going to learn some stuff here too, playing around with this. What settings do we have here that we can change? Well, let's tap on the settings icon down the bottom here, and you'll see here we can change the length. So I've got 1 bar at the moment. That can go all the way up to 16 bars, so you can do some cool experimentation here. Beats per bar. So this is interesting. It can go from 3, like a 3/4 time, and it can go up to 7. So like a 7/4 time beat or a 7/8 beat. So that's actually something missing from a lot of higher end sort of step sequencers that I've used on iOS. So that's kind of cool. We can split the beats here. So at the moment, it's only got the 2 sections. It can have 1 or it can have up to 4. And 4 is probably what I'd recommend. So you've got a bit more flexibility here. The scale, we can change this. At the moment, it's major. We can make a pentatonic or chromatic scale there, and you can play around with those and see what those do. And you can also start it on a different note. So instead of middle C, if we wanted to start it down on a low C, or even like a low, let's go something different, a low G here, we can actually start it down lower. And we can change the range. So it's 1 octave all the way up to 3 octaves. Okay, it's not that much. We're going to go with 2 octaves for now. Let's hit the tick button down the bottom here. And now you can see we've got this much bigger range. We're going up over 2 octaves now. And we've got 4 little beats or 4 little parts per beat. So we can actually create a more elaborate kind of tune here. So we'll do that, but what I'm going to do is reset this first, and we'll create a bit more of an elaborate kind of beat here. So to reset, we tap in the top left on the little arrow here. Yes, I'm sure I don't want to save my song. You can save your songs. Don't get excited. You can't export them. Sorry, don't want to bury the lead there. We can't export this as MIDI or anything cool like that, but you can save the link so you can share your song. So we're back here into Songmaker. Let's just tap our settings again and just adjust this. We'll split it into 4. Again, we'll go 2 octaves and we'll just drop this down to a low C, shall we? All right, and we'll hit the tick. And now, some lower sounds down here, and then up here on our 2nd octave, we've got our higher sounds, so we can use all of these now. But what I'm actually going to do is change up the instrument here. So you can see here in the bottom left, we've got the marimba. If we tap on that one, we can now add a piano. So we can add some nice sort of bass sounds there for a piano. And let's just do that. And then why don't we come over here and... So yeah, you can add some sounds in there. I'm not actually liking it being that low. Let's come back here. Let's bring it back to the middle C. It's going to sound better. And tick that one. And then... Yeah, so we can start playing around with these sounds like this. There's other sounds here too, as well as the piano. We'll come in here. We've got some strings. So we can play with some sort of plucked pizzicato strings. We've got some woodwind, which sounds okay. And then we've got some synth, which is kind of cool. But I've realized that these aren't sounding great with that sort of tone there. So let's put in a bit of an interesting kind of pattern here. All right, so that's going to be our sort of basis, and then we'll hit the kick drum here on the ones and fours, and then let's just put in a bit of a different sort of snare pattern here, like. Yeah, cool. So that's what we can do. We can change that around. Now we've got different drum controls here. So you can see here we've got the synth on, but we've also got electronic drums. If we change that, we can have some wood blocks. So let's change this back to the marimba, so that'll sound better with the wood blocks. Cool. And if we tap it again, we've got a real drum kit. Very cool. And then we've got a conga. So you can grab your conga beat and throw that in there. Back to our electronic. Just a nice sort of 808 kick snare kind of pattern there. And again, as I mentioned, we've got all of this up here that we can add to. So you can create all sorts of interesting patterns. And this is so much fun to just play with and have a noodle with. Now, you might be thinking, Pete, GarageBand exists. Why would you ever want to do this? Well, A, it's fun. B, you can use it on any device. So it doesn't matter what you have installed. If you've got a browser, you can use it. So you've got an old Android device, so you've got your old phone that you've given to your kids. This is going to run on it because it doesn't have really high specs. And you can just create some cool sounds. The one final thing we have here is the tempo control. So we can dial the tempo up. Or we can make it a slow jam. So that is cool. Tap out of there. Whoop. Tap off the tempo. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things that we can do on here. You've got an undo button down there if you make a mistake, you want to do something, get rid of it. You can actually undo there. Now, yes, I'm in landscape mode here because it's easier for a video, but it does work better in portrait mode actually. It's easier to use in portrait mode, especially when you're using a couple of octaves. You don't have this slide bar on the side. Finally, what can we do? We can save it. So if we tap on the save button here over on the right, what it's going to do is save this as a link. So we can copy this link. I'll actually throw this down in the description. So we'll hit copy. So yes, it gives you a custom link for your particular track, which I think is kind of cool. And then you can share it to Facebook and Twitter and tell people that you've created a cool little beat. So that is going to do it. I thought that this was pretty darn awesome. You can try this on your PC, your Mac, your Linux computer, your Android device, your iPhone, anywhere where you can install a Google Chrome or really any other browser. And don't forget, you don't just have SongMaker here. If we go back, so we go back to the start here, there's a whole bunch here in the Chrome Music Lab to explore and to experiment with, and you can read all about what the Chrome Music Lab is all about. That is going to do it for today. I hope you found this a little bit entertaining. Now go away, play with this. It's super fun. You may lose an hour or so of your day, but let me know how you get on. There's 2 more videos linked down below. You can also subscribe to the channel by clicking or tapping on the Studio Live Today icon in the top right corner, and I'll see you on the next video.